Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number one in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
Yes, you know what that sound means. You know what that sound means, everybody. This is Critical Failure, and you're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Thanks for tuning in. This week, we've got the Tiger Score is making its premiere. Dead by Daylight is making its, it's not making a premiere. It's the free weekend for Dead by Daylight, and that has had quite an effect, which we'll go over as well. I got some awesome tracks that we're going to play that I picked up from Bandcamp. We got some Vancasts. We got some Failbag. We got all the stuff that makes a great episode of TCR. So thanks for joining us. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. This first track, we're going to go back to the Summer Chip 8 that came out last year. And the reason I'm going back here is because I've been listening to this one in my car probably nonstop for the past week or so. It's from Diagamblik and Cosmo BG and Dread and Game Genie and a couple other people. It's it's a big collaboration, and I think about a minute and 20 seconds in, there's a breakdown that sounds an awful lot like Shadowgate that I turn way, way up. So bear with me. It's been my favorite track for the last week. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. That song, that's the song that gets blasted from my stereo coming out of the office. And people are like, what is that? This is not Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Who blasts this kind of music? Come on, cut the crap. Oh, it's good times. Let's just hear that breakdown. Just that breakdown at 1 minute and 20 seconds again real quick. Right there. Is that Shadowgate? Or is that more like Star Tropics? I've been racking my brain about this one. Oh boy. Alright, boys and girls, you know what time it is. First thing we want to do is we want to head back in time to a simpler time, a more happy time, to the beginning of the week. You guys are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. We're going to the van. Good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning. It's the Vancast. Alright, let's see if I can make the air a little quieter. It snowed. There's snow all over the ground, and I'm driving into work. It's been quite the morning. Just terrible cold. Oh my goodness. Quite a weekend though. I got the Tiger Score. Issue 1 is almost done. I got the layout all set in. Got a little logo up there. Collected a bunch of scores. Just checking a few things. Got a few more things I need to get straightened out in it before I'm ready to publish. But issue 1 of the Tiger Score is almost ready to go. So keep a lookout for that. Also, any high scores, man, head over to the TigerClawTV.com forums and post them, or let me know. We need some high score battles, man. I'm hoping this little print and play magazine helps resurge that a little bit, at least within our group. But I printed out like a mock-up, like a rough copy that's got still some changes to make, but I had like a rough copy all printed out, stuck it on a clipboard, and I had it by my Atari while I was playing, and you know what? I would say it had the desired effect. It felt a little bit like playing my official Atari 2600 with online multiplayer. It'll feel more like it once I can get other people's scores on it. But right now we got some stuff from the forums. We got some stuff from Atari Age. A little bit here, a little bit there. And some surprises you're going to have to see when it comes out. So that's really cool. That's shaped up very well. I would say, yeah. Alright, hang on here. So yeah, that came out better than expected. Again, I'm out driving in the snow, so I'm going to keep this pretty brief. Gameplay wise, I'm kind of all over the map. I just reinstalled Resident Evil 5 because Alex Swingle also has it and expressed interest in doing like a co-op playthrough. So I reinstalled that and I ran it yesterday and I played it for about a half hour, just to make sure that it ran, to get it installed, get it open, get the settings the way I need it to be, make sure the graphics are the best they can look while still running functionally. So yeah, it runs, it's good, and I'm looking forward to playing through it again. People knock Resident Evil 5, you know, I think it had big shoes to fill coming after Resident Evil 4 because everybody loved that game. But I think it gets unfairly looked down on. I think it's a good game. So hopefully I can play through that again soon. Apart from that, I've been playing old Grand Strategy games. And I know I talked about this last week. And I know it's not a big point of interest for my listeners, but my old laptop, I've been running Europa Universalis Rome, which is like an old version of Europa Universalis. I've been running that, and I got a lot of the other first-gen Paradox games reinstalled. like the original Crusader Kings. I remember playing that a bit back in the day, which is pretty cool. So that's been fun. That's been fun. I guess that's about it for now. Right now I'm just focused on getting through the snow without running into anything in the car. So when I get back to the studio, we'll see what we got. And with that, boys and girls, that's it for me. We're back again in Panzer Studios. And before we go back to the van, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to play a track. This is from Cat System Corp, the wonderful Cat System Corp. And the name of the track is Tokyo 82. It's from the album Lo-Fi, which is a bit of a departure for Cat System Corp. But it's good stuff. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Oh yeah. So there was an announcement that this guy was going to open his own record label or do some sort of more legitimate, more established music with his popularity, as apart from just making vaporwave tracks. But in doing so, that would involve pulling down a lot of his backlog. So I went and downloaded every Cat System Corp album that there was at that time. So that was from Lo-Fi, and I don't know if you can still get that track or not. I want to say you can, but you'll have to look it up. And it's a free album, so have at it, boys and girls. And with that, we're going to go back to the van. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. It's the Vancast, everybody. It is Wednesday morning. It's a cold one, freezing cold. So another day I had to scrape the car out from a layer of ice before heading out. And I actually had to make about half the journey before I could even start this, because my fingers needed to warm up enough to where they could hold my phone. So it's been a pretty interesting evening. I found the keys yesterday, which was great. It saved me $200. They had gone through the wash. My son found them in my laundry drawer. So I was pretty thankful for that. So since I saved me $200, went ahead and gave $10 to both of the kids as a thanks for finding the keys and for looking for them. Got my wife some takeout. Everybody partied last night. It was good. It was a good time. Kids had a good time. I had a good time. And I dodged a $200 bullet. So I'm pretty happy about that. Video game wise, I kind of did the same things I always do. And while that doesn't merit a whole lot of interesting discussion, that's what I did, see? And I'm glad I did it. I played Dead by Daylight this morning, early on. I'm trying to reach level 50, because once you hit level 50, you get the prestige level, and then everybody who you play with can see, that you have leveled up, per se. Your character then becomes drenched in blood, and you have access to, when you start over a second time from the beginning, and then as you're leveling up, you have access to more rare perks and stuff. So that should be fun. I'm about 52, 53 hours into Dead by Daylight, and I'm still having a good time with it, so that's cool. Playing Dead by Daylight, also playing Europa Universalis Rome on my laptop in the evenings. That is, among the grand strategy games, that's a very old one. And, I'm having a good time. It doesn't have quite as many buttons as the more modern grand strategy games, and I think you might, like, at first glance it looks like, oh, this will be easier to master because there's less buttons. But it's not that it's a less complicated game, it just gives you less control over things. Like, there's certain times where it's like, I want to move into this country, and it won't let me, and I don't know why. I was at war with this country and I can't move in there. Why? Well, I had to take some time off to build ships to go from Italy to Sicily, which is, the mainland to an island. So I had to cross a body of water, and while I was getting the materials together to do that, I think one of my counselors accepted a treaty, and I didn't pay attention. So in the end, I was like, why can't I invade this country? Why can't I, march into war? Well, because we weren't at war. And those kinds of things are easier to find in the more modern games. They got a lot of information. It's tough to wade through, but with a little experience, and once you know what to zero in on, that's how you make it so everything you need is available. The older games were tougher in that respect. But it's what I've been playing on a nightly basis. I'm still having fun with it. I'm playing as Rome. So for me, it's the Paint Europe Red simulator. Playing as Rome and just trying to expand out. And that's like the easy mode in that game. But you got to play on easy mode at first. That's the way these games go. Right? You got to pick the country with the most resources, with the lowest difficulty rating, best army, best economy, most diplomatic power, and that's what you go with, so you don't just get blindsided and then the game is over. All right, so yeah, that's been my couple evenings in gaming. Finishing up the Tiger score for February. Hopefully, I'll get that completed on Friday. I just need to play a couple of games and register scores for it. Particularly, Jerry Terrifying put up a couple of scores for Atari 7800 games on the forums. And I wanted to put those in there, but I also wanted to put matching scores. His score and my score, right? And I played Food Fight yesterday, and I got a score for Food Fight, which, by the way, I've never played Food Fight on the Atari 7800 before. Never played it before. Did I come close to Jerry's score? No. But I played a few games, got the hang of it. I got the hang of it, and wrote down the best score I could have. Now, this is kind of the part where running this thing, I benefit from running this thing, this whole single-page magazine, because I was then exposed to a game I had never played before. I wrote down a score. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. And then there was a second 7800 game that I still need to play called Dark Side, Dark Slide, Dark something. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. But I got a few more games to play. That, and then I think Gorf for the Atari 2600. Over on the Atari Age forums back in December, somebody posted a topic. Hey, let's have a high score battle on Gorf. And one guy responded with a score that he wrote down in the 80s. He was like, yeah, man, this is all I got. And that was the only replies he has. So I'm going to feature that in the first Tiger score, and I'm going to play me some Gorf. And I'm going to post my top 3, top 5, whatever it is. However many good notable scores I can register, that'll make the cut. So that's been fun. They do weekly high score battles over on Atari Age, but for a monthly magazine, they're kind of hard to follow. Because like the online stuff, I want to make sure that the PDF can link to whatever the topic is. So you can not just print it out and write down your scores, but then you can also go back and link to, all right, here's the Atari Age topic. All right, here's the topic on the Tigerfall TV forums. Here's here's the link to the Cartridge Brothers where they're playing their game this month. And then you can get out there and interact with people a little bit easier. So harvesting those links, takes a little bit of effort. Not too much, but a little bit. So Friday I'll get that all wrapped up. And I hopefully I'll have it out this weekend. So January will be almost over. Yeah, the clock's ticking. Clock's ticking indeed. Well, I guess that's about it. I'm just down the block from the office now, and I got a big date tonight with my wife, which should be fun. We're gonna go out to eat and have a good old time. Thinking Mexican food. Get some tortilla chips. Oh yeah. All right. I would like to think about, this is the part where I'd like to say, hey, this is what I would play if I were back home in Panzer Studios. But I honestly can't think of what I would play. One thing that comes to mind is Resident Evil 5. I'm dying to play Resident Evil 5 with Alex Swingle. Got that installed, gave it a test run. Talked about that yesterday morning, I believe. I had played all the way through that once before, but I did that with a friend. So I never played through it alone. I just did the co-op. And I absolutely loved it. But you know how it goes when you play games with friends. Any game can be fun if you're playing it with the right people. And maybe that's what happened with me in Resident Evil 5. I remember it very, very well because I played it with good people. And it was enough years ago that I'm hoping to, experience that again a second time. I can tell you that when I was playing through the first half hour, I didn't remember a lot of it. So when I play through it again, it'll be mostly new. All right, hang on a second. And with that, boys and girls, I am getting ready to pull into the office right now. So I'm going to send you guys back to the comfortable, oh so comfortable Panzer Studios where there's no snow, and it's like a nice 70 degrees, so you don't need a winter coat or a winter hat. And most of all, my stereo and my video games are there, and that's where I'd want to be right now. I'll see you guys there. Back safe and sound in Panzer Studios. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Just want to take a quick moment to thank the sponsors. This is a Patreon-sponsored podcast. They are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, and the Cartridge Brothers. Thank you guys so much for your support. So let's do this, boys and girls, before we go back and finish the van casting for the week. This one is from an artist who calls himself Windows 96, and the album is 100 Mornings. This is an awesome, awesome album. Now, I found this looking for vaporwave, but I think it qualifies more as synth pop kind of stuff. Awesome, awesome stuff. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Yeah, Windows 96. Look them up on Bandcamp. You're going to find that album pretty quick. You know what, boys and girls? There's no time to lose. Hey, we've got to get in the clubhouse and get this club meeting going. All right? We're going back to the van one final time for this week on Tiger Club Radio. Stick with us. Morning, everybody. It's the Vancast. It is Thursday morning, and I am pulling out to go to work. And I think we're going to have a good day today. It's the first day all week I have not had to scrape off my windshield. So this is looking up. It's still really cold, but at least I was able to just jump in the car and go, which is great. I'm going to take all the upsides I can get. This morning I sat down at my desk to play some good old Dead by Daylight. It's my favorite game right now, what can I say? And I hit level 50, which is great. When you have a survivor who hits level 50, then you have the option of starting again from the beginning. And in doing so, you then have access to more rare perks and items. And then you get a shirt that's drenched in blood. So you get to wear your blood-soaked shirt. And everybody knows you hit level 50 when you play. You get that prestige level, which is like one of 3. There's 3 different prestige levels. And then if I go through it again, then I get pants that are soaked in blood. And then I think the last one is you get a head soaked in blood. So when you're playing and you get paired in with other survivors, when you see somebody who's soaked in blood from head to toe, that's somebody who's been playing forever. And I think that's the way it goes. I like it. It's a good game, man. Except that the very last thing I did before I left the house was hit this prestige level. So when you go back to the beginning, you lose all your perks, your items, and everything. You lose everything. So back to the beginning I go, and I'm going to start again from scratch. That means the next handful of matches are going to be pretty tough. It's a game where perks make a big difference, right? I had I had perks where I could see other survivors as long as they were within like 50 meters or something. So if I was hiding, I could see little yellow outlines of where all the other people were who were also hiding. It helped a lot because I could see what would happen is I'd see them gather on 2 survivors would be working together on like a generator or something, and I would see that through the walls, and I'd be able to go find them and join in, and we were able to complete objectives that way. That was like my key strategy towards success. So now I have to kind of say goodbye to all that for a little while. But this was my goal, which it was pretty awesome to set forth a goal in video games and be like, this is what I want to accomplish, and spend like 2 or 3 weeks working towards it, and then finally hit that goal, regardless of what it is. Even if you don't care about Dead by Daylight, it's like to hit that goal, get that achievement, get that win, whatever it may be. It's always a good feeling. So I got that this morning, which is pretty awesome. Let's see. I have Gorf on my to-play list. Gorf, the Atari 2600 game. You might be familiar with it. It's somewhat of a clone of Space Invaders and a couple other games. That's going to make the first issue of the Tiger Score. So I need to log some scores in Gorf, and then we'll see how it goes. That should be out by the end of the week. Yeah, so I guess by the time you're hearing this, the Tiger Score should be out. So I don't know how I'm going to handle distribution. I'm probably it's just going to be a PDF. So to start with, I'm probably going to send copies to everybody I know. It'll just show up in your email, and then I'll put something about it on the website. TCR started the same way. It was just, hey, let's get this uploaded on Mega Upload. I'll just put the link everywhere I can think of. So that's probably what I'll do to get started. And we'll just see what the response is. We'll see if anybody actually prints this thing out or sends in some scores or whatever. So that's cool. It's been a good morning. One problem I'm having right now is that my little CRT that sits on top of my dresser, that's where my Atari's hooked up, right? So I've got to get over to this thing and play some games. For one thing, I got a bunch of Atari games when I was at MagFest that I haven't run yet. For another, I want to play this Gorf game so I can log some scores for the Tiger Score. And that portion of the house is rather dirty, just from working, and then once I have a few moments off, somebody's asleep in there or something like that. I haven't been able to get it cleaned up. So today's Thursday. Hopefully I'll be able to tackle that tonight, actually. Yeah. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow evening I'll be putting the finishing touches on the Tiger Score. So tonight is really the night. I gotta play Gorf, and I gotta play the other 7800 game that Jerry played. So we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck, boys and girls. And I think if I were back home right now, if I were back home and the house was empty and I didn't have to worry about waking anybody up at 6:30 in the morning, then that's what I would do. I'd run some laundry so I could clean up around that CRT. I'd get a bar stool and I'd sit down there with some hot tea and a joystick, and I'd play Gorf a couple times. I'd probably start up with Gorf. I'd log a couple of benchmark scores, and then I would jump around in my games, just play some other games for a while, and then end the session with more Gorf. Start and end. And we would see what happened. Man, I really want to get a paddle for this 2600. One of the things I did at MagFest was in the console room, at one point when my legs were getting really tired from walking around a lot, I sat down at the Atari 2600 that had Breakout hooked up. Breakout and an authentic 2600 paddle, which I don't get to play with very much. And I must have played Breakout 50 times. And I took a bunch of pictures of the screen with my cell phone, trying to get a higher and higher score. So that's another thing I should try and work into the Tiger Score as my MagFest Breakout score. That would be good. That's a little bit of a harder one to if you print this thing out and you're playing games, that's a little bit of a harder one to compete against, because I feel like the paddle games, you can't really play them on an emulator on your computer. It's not the same. Whereas the joystick games, even if you don't have an Atari 2600, you can go get yourself a copy of Stella, the emulator, and you can go to Atari Age, where Atari has said, yeah, go ahead and download the ROMs. We're cool with that. Get a couple ROMs, and you can play the games. There's no, ethically, legally, you're all set. You can just go play and tell me how you did. And that's all it takes. That's one of the reasons I favor Atari as a system to follow for high scores. Atari's a good one, and Space Cadet Pinball is also a good one, because that's also freely available for you to download and jam with us. We had a really good Space Cadet Pinball throwdown on the forums over at TigerClawTV.com. It's been a couple of months now, but it was fun. I gotta play that again. Maybe I can raise the bar a little bit. I don't know. I seem to remember hitting that one perfect game. You know how when you're playing any game that records score, eventually you'll hit this one perfect game and you'll set your own high score that you can't beat again. You know what I mean? It's not something that you got to by skill per se. Just that you had that one game where everything aligned and you just happened to hit the right thing at the right time, or maybe you just happen to be feeling it, and then you get a score you can't beat, and it's your own score. This commonly happens if you keep high scores over a long period of time. I see this in other games that I've played. I'll have scores from 2013 that I can't beat. There was a time when I got really good at Space Invaders on the 2600. Space Invaders on the 2600 is seen as one of these games that's it's an inferior port. Space Invaders is a fun game, but if you're going to play it, don't play the 2600 version. I never saw it that way, but I've heard people say it that way. So I scored pretty highly on that. Yeah, that's another thing. This won't be in the first month because it's going to take some digging and some writing stuff down. But I have my tome of high scores. I feel like I should be like, here's the top 3 scores or the top scores on the top games of mine over the past 10 years. And if you want to be hardcore, you can sit down with your 2600 emulator and just blow me out of the water. I think that would be fun. I used to maintain a sheet like that. I put all my high scores into a spreadsheet, and I was able to take the top ones and make a little printout. That was years ago. Alright, hang on a second. Let me cross this bridge real quick. It's a little bit on the tight side. And there we go. So that's the Tiger score. Also, yesterday I did some more work in chiptunes. More work in chiptunes. Just composing and getting things together. I feel like I have a lot of really good stuff. I put together a brand new track yesterday. It only runs about a minute and a half, which is a problem. I've got a lot of these really short tracks, and chiptunes tend to be 3 minutes plus. And when I make chiptunes, they tend to be much shorter. They usually cap out at about 2 minutes. So I feel like the end result is I'm going to have this album with maybe 15 tracks or so, and the entire album is going to run start to finish in like 22 minutes or something. or less. Who knows? But it was fun to make chiptune progress. Still working in FamiTracker. I want to make the jump from FamiTracker to Milky Tracker, because I feel like FamiTracker doesn't have solid like bass and drums. Drums in FamiTracker, like drums using the noise channel, it was fine for the first couple albums that I put together, but now, I don't know, now it feels a little artificial, which is ironic because it's electronic music, so everything's artificial. But I need something with a little bit more boom snap than I can get on a Famicom noise channel. So I don't know. I'm still working with it. Part of me thinks if I change the sound that drastically, then I should round off the track list that I have and release it as like an EP. And be like, all right, here's my return to chiptunes. Now let's move forward with Milky Tracker. It's going to sound different. We'll just see how it goes. I don't know. We'll see. Today's going to be a big day, so we'll see when I get home from work. I probably won't be working on chiptunes. I'm probably going to be playing Gorf and trying to finish the Tiger score. But yeah, it's been a fun time. I feel like this has been a week of finishing projects. I also got my text review of Treasure Hunter Simulator. I got that posted up over on Emerald Rangers. So let's support Emerald Rangers. You can go over and give that a read. That's going to stay exclusive to them. Sendu, I think after I posted it, was like, hey, you can repost this anywhere you want. No. That's for Emerald Rangers. I wrote it for them. They provided the key. That's theirs. So if you wanna take a look at that, then you will have to head over there. I'll probably provide a link. Probably put something up on TigerClawTV.com that says, hey, this review is here. You can go check it out. But we'll have to see. Time will tell. Well, all right, boys and girls. I'm going to finish my drive into work, and I'll send you guys back to the studio. Well, all right, boys and girls. Back again, safe and sound in Panzer Studios. Father Time comes and has his way with things. He sure does. We're now 41 minutes in. It's time for the fail bag. This is where, hey, any questions you have, you want to talk, you want any comments you have, have I triggered you hard, you want to tell me about it, go ahead and let me know. You can head over to TigerClawTV.com, drop into the forums. If you're listening to this on YouTube, just leave a comment. It's viable to be read. That's the main place people reply. Before I dig into that, though, the Tiger score got finished. All right? It's all finished. I sent out copies to everyone I knew. I don't know how I'm going to handle distribution yet. I posted it on Patreon. I'm going to get it up on the main website hopefully tonight or probably tomorrow. But this thing is out, and I want it to go to everybody. It's it's a video games magazine, but it's only one page. And the idea is that you print it out and you can keep it with you while you're playing your retro video games. And you can write the high scores that you achieve right on it, and you can email them in, and we can compete with each other that way. So I've been talking about it for months. It's a weird idea, I know, but I went ahead and did one anyway. It's designed on purpose to be easy to print, meaning I don't have any color pictures on it at all, so you don't have to worry about killing your expensive ink cartridges. It's just a black and white single sheet of paper. You can print it out. You can and you can have a good time. So let's. I'm really excited about this thing. You got to understand. This is a magazine. All right. It's a magazine in my head. It's also just a flyer, but in my head, it's a magazine. So I don't know. It kind of felt, compiling it, felt really good. And when I printed out my mock-up and I sat down on my Atari and started playing games, it kind of felt like I was playing my Atari like online multiplayer. I don't know. Which is weird because it was just like mostly my own scores and scores that I picked up from around the internet. But I think this is... I think there's a real idea here, and there's a potential for something fun, something unique. So we'll see if we can make it into something. But I'm definitely going to make it run for a few months, and we'll just see if there's any interest at all. So if you don't have a copy and you're interested in getting a copy, let me know. I'll make sure and send you one. In the meantime, I'll try and get it posted on TigerClawTV.com and thenextround.net and everywhere else I can think of. But yeah, it's a single page PDF. Let's see. I want to see how much it takes in size. It is 67 KB, 67.7 KB. Not a big file. Small enough that I can just email it to you and it's fine. So that's one of the things I love about it, is it should be easy to distribute. How we doing? We still feeling... is there still static now? Did I get rid of the static? I'm working on this static thing, guys. I know it's a bit of a problem. I'm doing the best I can. So let's head over to... We're going to head over to YouTube. We're going to see what kind of comments we got. I don't think it was much. Bear with me. It's opening right now. Oh, yeah. This past week was fun, man. It was really fun. Alright, we're going to go to... Yeah, I know. I usually do this off the air, but I'm starting to worry. It's Friday afternoon. I'm starting to worry that I need to hurry up and get this done. Stop worrying about making it perfect, because it just won't be perfect, you know? Perfect isn't going to happen. Alright, so last episode was 268. We had one from Desm, we had one from Mecha Menace, we had one from Alex Swingle. Thank you guys so much for writing in. It's good to hear from everybody. Starting to worry that the old fail bags are running a little slim. Alright. Alex writes, at minute 22, just a minor nitpick. Killing Floor adjusts the number of monsters to how many players there are, and makes it the same amount per player. I read that on one of the loading screens. I often called Killing Floor... Excuse me, I read that wrong. I often called Killing Floor 2... Killing Floor 1.5, due to the game devs deciding to keep arbitrary limitations from the first game that were engine-based, you know, Unreal 2 versus Unreal 4. I have it, and I think they made a great visual upgrade while lacking in imagination. They also made the game worse by spawning enemies behind you on purpose, like 10 feet behind you, where it makes no sense for them to spawn behind you. Our online co-op list is getting larger. Yeah, it's not a perfect game. And it is an awful lot like the original Killing Floor. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, you're absolutely, and there's no defending it either. It's very, very much like the original Killing Floor. But the original Killing Floor was a game I enjoyed very much. So at the same time, I'm ready and willing to forgive it for that. Also, you said that the number of monsters is proportional to the number of players. Okay, I could see that, but then you have to be careful about who you play with, because let's say you join a game with 3 people. That means there's going to be 3 times the number of enemies, and if one of those players isn't killing their share, then you've got a lopsided game, or you have a more difficult game. So if it's multiplying, on a linear curve the number of people, then I guess that's proportional. You can make it work. For example, when I had a really tight team on the original game, we would play long games with a maxed out team, and there was lots and lots and lots of monsters. But since everybody knew what their job was, we were able to make it work and take them down. Oh, the good old days. Alex, thanks for writing in, man. Mecha Menace writes, the track from the Pulsing album you played reminds me of Pixel Junk's Eden soundtrack. You might want to look into it if you dig that track. The John List track, man, the riff definitely comes from one of the songs on the Drive soundtrack. It's just buttered up a bit. Yeah. Yes, Armed and Dangerous is the game you described. It was released on the Xbox and PC. I recommend checking out the official trailer. The game has a funny script and great voice acting. The game feels like a mashup of Time Bandits, The Lost Vikings, and Ratchet and Clank. The studio behind quirky games like Giants Citizen Kabuto, the Giants Citizen Kabuto game closed its doors almost a decade ago. It's depressing when you look at their first few games and realize these guys had interesting ideas and talent, but developed into shovelware and licensed games, most likely to keep them afloat while they pitched unique projects. Unfortunately, none came to fruition past those first 3. Recommended PS3 move rail shooter, Child of Eden. It's pretty much Rez. Mecha Menace, my man, good to hear from you. Let's talk about Rez for a second. Not Rez, excuse me, Child of Eden. I played Child of Eden. I have it on the Xbox 360. I don't have a hard copy, but I have. I got a download code, and played it that way. When I got my Kinect, that was the first Kinect game I ever played. So I played it on Kinect. A lot of shapes, awful lot of shapes. And I never played Rez, but yeah, I hear they're the same game. So if you had a fully functioning light gun or of some kind, yeah, I bet that'd be pretty cool, man. Armed and Dangerous, that's a LucasArts game. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. LucasArts is awesome, man. LucasArts in their prime, when they were making top-tier adventure games, man. They did some really good stuff. Yeah, and the sad story of a company closing its doors. Yeah, man, business is tough. Some really awesome creative talent can definitely be squashed by the business side of video games, for sure. For sure. Desm101 also wrote in. He said, I've been thinking I need to pick up PS Move controllers for playing light gun games. Freaking love the House of the Dead titles. Hope you find them keys, man. Thanks, man. And I sure did. I found them and everything was great. Had a good old time. Yeah, House of the Dead is good. House of the Dead is one of these games where it's like I only really ever get a good House of the Dead experience when I'm at the arcades, which is funny because I often talk back about when my older brother bought his computer when I still lived at home. I was like 16, and he bought a Gateway computer. Well, he bought a special pack that had a few CD-based games in them, and the one that sticks out the most to me is the original Unreal, because that was, top quality games at the time. But it also had House of the Dead in it, which was awesome. I had to play it with a mouse, so it didn't quite have the same effect. But I certainly got to play. That's the one time I really remember getting a House of the Dead experience outside of an arcade. And the only exception to that rule is Pinball of the Dead, which I've had for the Game Boy Advance for more than a decade. Good pinball game if you like pinball. I'm kind of a pinball gay. Whew. I just said I was a pinball gay. Oh boy. All right. Nope, I don't have time to edit it out. I'm kind of a pinball guy. Whew. So I've liked that one for a long time. It's got 3 tables in it. It's got little animated monsters. And it's great. Desmond, my man, it's good to hear from you. And I know this was like a while ago now, but thanks again for the Saturn. The last game I bought for it right here was Black Fire. It was a helicopter game which had some promise, but the controls were somewhat complicated. And now I'm shopping around for games for the Sega Saturn again. I've got to get that Action Replay. I've got to get one now because I like pachinko games, right? And I want to be able to play the import games. A lot of really good import pachinko on the Sega Saturn that's affordable. I would love to be able to do that. Saturn's a good system, even with the budget, the budget games I have, Need for Speed and Myst and all that. Those are fun. It's fun times. Thanks again. Is that it? That's all I got? It's good to hear from you. Good to hear from everybody. Where are we at now? What are we, 52 minutes in? All right, let's try this. Since we're only 52 minutes in. I can't remember what I recorded this for, but this was this was something I recorded back in 2009. So this is a 10-year-old recording. The name of the file just says souvenir. I'm listening to the ukulele sound, and I'm trying to remember what on earth this was recorded with. Because we don't own a ukulele. Yeah, that is definitely that flute sound. Oh. And then everything devolves into chaos. That little flute sound is like a souvenir flute that I got at one of the gift shops in Walt Disney World, which was fun times. And I can't remember what I recorded that for. Probably like to cap off another Green Leo album that just never came out. But I have that in my folder of leftover stuff from old Green Leo albums. There's a few unused things here. For example, the one thing, I think I might have played this the last time I was playing stuff, but just so you can hear a sample again. I remade the Rescue the Embassy theme for when you're like sneaking around on Rescue the Embassy in the NES and you're trying to avoid the spotlights. There's a theme that plays, and I did like a basic cover of like the bass line, and I was going to add some stuff, and I never did add the stuff, so I think this is only like 20 seconds long. That's a pretty familiar sound. Alright, so that's the loop. And then we add a bass line. That's about all I got. That's it. That's when was this file created? Hang on a second. Family Tracker saves. Rescue the Embassy mission. That was created on January 9th, 2010. So 9 years ago I made that. Oh my gosh. Where has the time gone? Man. Man, oh man. And with that, everybody, I'm going to bid you farewell. Whatever's brought you here 55 minutes and 30 seconds into Tiger Claw Radio, I want you to know that I appreciate the time you spent here. A lot of things you could be doing, a lot of interesting things on the internet you could be checking out. You know, a lot of places in the world you could be. I appreciate the time that you spent here because time is the most valuable currency, and you should value what you do with your time. And I'm hoping that whatever it is you're shooting for, that you get it. All right? And as we march into this next week, I hope you make it a good one. I'm rooting for you. I really am. I'll see you next Monday.